What's up, YouTube? I want to talk about fragrances with a specific focus on the chemistry part, because this is the most important part about finding a cologne, is if it works on you or if it doesn't. And, you might find some fragrances, they just don't develop, they just don't seem to hold for whatever reason, or they just don't smell good on you. You might find people are just, nobody gives you compliments with one scent, but they give a lot in the other. So, overall, it's good to test fragrances out before you buy. And a lot of times, like if you have trouble holding scents, you might want a stronger fragrance. Like Joe Balm and a lot of the stronger colognes work very well with dry skin. And like people talk a lot about niche brands. The thing with it is the quality. Like you're gonna go to a drugstore, see some scents for $10. They're probably not very good. They're probably not gonna dry down that well. They're gonna smell kind of harsh, have a very green, kind of cheap smell. Some of them may be okay though, but it depends on chemistry. You might not smell as good wearing that. Whereas you spend just a little more and you get something from a department store or a clothing store, and you end up with a reasonable amount of quality. I mean, some of the clothing store brands do not last, but they have good oils. At least some of them do. But then, you get up to the niche brands. This is where you get some sense of just magical concoctions that some people absolutely love. And like Mousse Ravageur and New Harlem and a lot of the Agarwood fragrances, a lot of the simple scents that have great oils end up smelling better and they win in the long run. And a lot of times the niche brands have designers that try and copy them, but the niche brands often have that kind of quality that designer brands won't have. And so if a niche brand makes a copy of an already made fragrance, they tend to have a better smell just because the ingredients are better and the oils are fresher and it doesn't have that synthetic smell. And so, like, you might find a few scents like Body Kuros, Le Mal, Lolita Olympica, and, a few other scents that smell very similar at one point. You spray it out of the bottle and it just smells very similar. Almost like that powdery vanilla. Maybe the Lolita Olympica has some anise, but you gotta let them dry down because that's where you will tell and get somebody else to tell on you. Because if you decide, you may spray it on and you can't even notice it after a couple hours, but it's still there. You just gotten accustomed to it. And so you might find that Le Mal smells a little bit like a minty vanilla and maybe too much. It has too many weird spices and too much of a synthetic smell. You might do better with Body Kuros. Or you might find that Body Kuros just doesn't work on you and you do better with Le Mal. And, with a lot of these fragrances, you might try some gourmand scents and find they're just too sweet and too heavy and they just don't work on you. And for whatever skin chemistry, you always have something that you can really use. Like, for a smoker, a lot of fragrances are not going to work because they're going to smell like you're trying to cover up a smell. And the Gucci's and Issey Miyake are the exception. And at the same time, if you're looking for like a daytime scent, where it's warm temperature, then you probably don't want a fragrance that's too oily and strong because it's just going to project more. And, during the daytime, if you're looking for something for office wear, you can go to a TJ Maxx and find a 3-ounce bottle for like $10. That's fine because it's probably a lighter version. But if you go to, like the department store where a niche brand to work, some of that stuff is really strong. And that's one thing about it. And it all depends on like what you're looking at, because like niche brands are great for clubbing and going out and going on dates, whereas a lot of the cheaper brands are better for wearing during the day. I mean, you wouldn't want to wear some of those fragrances to clubs. There'd be so many other things you'd reach for. But basically, it also gets down to where you live. Like, if you live in a tropical climate, don't buy like Joe Balm and Le Mal and a lot of the strong, heavy Orientals, or even like Xerxes Rouge and some of those colognes. They're great at nighttime, but if you don't wear it at night and if it gets a little bit warmer, it just might not work as well. So it's overall better to find something that works perfectly in the environment. And there's always the right balance of everything. Because, in the springtime, it's good to wear colognes that are a little fresher and they have more of an invigorating quality. And in the summer, you want very refreshing scents. Like if it's hot and dry, an aquatic scent will work very well, and it'll be very invigorating, and it'll turn a lot of heads. Like, a lot of people love cool water game, and in the summer, the cool waters tend to work very well in hot climates. Whereas, like in the fall, you're gonna need maybe, it's gonna be getting a little cooler. So you're gonna want something maybe a little warmer, but not too much warmer. Just, a little bit of a sweetness to it. And the woodsy aromatics, woody floral musk, all those colognes can be very good. They're kind of in the middle because they're not warm like Oriental scents and heavy, but they have the right of it. It's kind of a fresh, woodsy tone. And those fragrances work very well, like in the fall and even in the spring. And the winter time, depending on how cold it is, it all depends on the environment. Like, if you're in a clubbing town, you might want to get Body Coros, Musc Ravageur, Pure Malt, and some of the better fragrances. If you're living, in a college environment, Animale might work, or Body Coros. It all depends on what you're looking for. But, in the winter time, that's when it's easy. You can wear sweeter scents because they have a different quality now, and they smell like, if you smell like chocolate and cookies, it really does a good job in the wintertime. You just don't want to wear it in the summer because it's going to be too heavy. And so, one of the other things about fragrances too is you got to look at, you want to look at what the fragrance has that's working in it. If you're going to buy something, see if it does something that it's not like something you have. I mean, so many times people buy new fragrances and they smell almost identical to something they already have. And then, it's just not the best buy. So it's important to know what you're buying. And, if you're going online, I would not recommend going to, some of the cheaper sites because they're going to sell you credit card information. They're going to try and sell you a knockoff. I just don't trust the quality in a lot of those items, from experience. So I hope this helps, and thanks for watching.